Thanks everybody for coming today. I appreciate your patience. Traveling so far, it's difficult to get over here on a real regular basis, so I appreciate your patience. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's just dive in. Why Decatur? What attracted you to the town and the district?
Well, when I started researching the position, there's a lot of community support. You could see that in the surveys on what they were looking for in the new superintendent. A lot of initiatives where there's partnerships with business entities and other people in the community. I really believe in that. I'm from Illinois. I was born and raised here. Grew up in Momence, Illinois, and then we moved to Manteno, and I graduated from Manteno, Illinois. So that was part of it. And there's a lot of opportunities here to improve things, so I like that. And also, when you listen to community input, they were talking a lot about strategic planning, and I'm a big believer in that. I've experienced it in my current position, and I've seen what a difference it makes. And when a community is ready and willing to do strategic planning, that's a really good thing. And then last but not least, I mentioned this at the board meeting, I went to a basketball game. Eisenhower played Southeast, and to see that community support, how we outnumbered Springfield, was just like the last thing I needed. It was an awesome to see the community support from all walks of life for our kids and our programs.
Anybody else? Questions?
What do you see as one of the first things that you'd like to tackle within the district?
Well, I'd like to tackle meeting the new board and meeting them. And then what I'm doing right now, I've been meeting for all day yesterday and all day today, just getting input on what's going well in the district and what things we need to work on, and then kind of develop a plan. I have to discuss it with the board, but I think one thing we need to really look at is, and what people are asking for is, as I mentioned, the strategic plan. Set vision, mission, and goals so we're all on the same page moving forward and what we can do for kids.
Can you comment on the process? You were also involved in the search in Champaign, the difference between how those searches were conducted from your point of view, not getting a chance to sort of meet the community ahead of time or as a candidate versus the way it was treated in Champaign?
Sure. Every district does it different. There's pros and cons to both approaches. Champaign was very intense. This was a different type of intensity, but I just think that's up to the local boards of education, and we work with whatever process is in place.
All right, as a follow-up to that, do you feel like fairly or unfairly it's caused you to start in the hole a little bit because of what happened with the election and the way people didn't have a chance to get a meet?
I hope not. All these things I've seen is from variety of the candidates who won, as well as people who are running. They're all willing to work with whoever was in place if it was a unanimous vote. So I hope I'm not in a deficit. If I am, I'll battle that with everybody involved, and they'll learn that I'm a very open and transparent person, and I want everybody involved. It's very important we get input from all facets of the community moving forward. So I hope I'm not in a deficit, but if I am, so be it, and we'll move forward from here.
Have you met with the new school board members?
No, I have not. I've talked to him on the phone.
Okay.
I talked to him on the phone the day after the election. I had a nice conversation with all four of them. I'm on my way here. And so, no, they're very excited. We had a great conversation, and looking forward to working with them.
Can you talk a little bit about the state education funding formula and maybe some lessons from Missouri and what Governor Nixon did there?
Well, it's interesting because there's always this battle around this terminology of fully funding the formula. And supposedly this year we're going to have a fully funded formula, but there's a lot of terminology in there that misleads the public sometimes. They may fully fund the formula, but then they're going to withhold money for transportation, parents as teachers, and all the ancillary programs. So you take that money and you have to reallocate it. Does that make sense? So it'll be interesting to learn the ins and outs here in Illinois, but it's never a set amount. There's always vague variables and things that you have to work with. So it's the same everywhere. Kansas is going through the same thing next door to Missouri as far as limited funding. So that's just the public school business, is you have to make do with whatever resources you're given.
What do you think our greatest strengths are in the district, also our greatest weaknesses, that you have kind of observed so far?
It's pretty early for that, but
Right.
one of the biggest things is our diversity. Okay, I think when I talk to the board, I think we have the best opportunity to give kids an experience of what the world they're going to live in, and so I think we need to leverage our diversity. I think that's a strength. Again, I watch all the TV, check all the websites, I listen to radio programs. There's a lot of interest in the district. People want the district to do well. They want to have good things for our kids. So I think that's what we need to look at. As far as weaknesses, we need to do better in our academic performance, our graduation rate, and those type of things. But that going in, that data's public. That data we share out there on our website and other entities, and so that's, academic achievement has got to be number one.
Message to incoming parents, people that are, maybe they're going to come move in the area. Obviously, you're new. You're going to be having a new board as well. There's been some turmoil here and there. It's essentially a new day. Message to them, and why should people want to come here and be a part of the DPS 61 schools?
That's part of our work, is we got to get that message out better. There's a lot of great things going on here. I mentioned those internships, those opportunities for kids that we can leverage that other communities cannot. And so I just think it's going to be, I just met Ms. Robertson, we need to get the message out. We need to go to where people are. A lot of times we always expect people to come to us and see what's going on. We need to tap those opportunities, whether it's robotics, whether it's STEM initiatives, whether it's band, choir, whatever it may be. Find out where in the community we can take our kids out and show them what they can do. And then I told this to a young man last night in our conversation about race. A lot of times kids today are demonized. He said that, and I said, that is so true. Kids are doing great things every day, but what gets out in the news sometimes is only the negative stuff. And so we have to do a better job of getting that information out to you guys of what great things are going on here. And then, but also be upright and forthcoming on when we're not doing well, and say, well, this is our plan to address it.
That transparency and the perceived dysfunction at the school board and everything, how do you think you can help repair all of that?
I'm not trying to brag on myself, just be me. I'm a transparent person. I'm somebody that I think people learn to trust. I haven't earned that trust yet. So I have to go out and show people that I'm trustworthy. I act with integrity. I have strong ethics, and just move forward from here. The board, as I told some people, in Missouri we elect new board members every year. So I'm used to that. We have new leadership in the district every year. So we just move forward. The energy, the people's vote, the votes were very strong for those four candidates. So whatever they were saying to the public is what the public wants. So we got to work with that and move forward and do good things moving forward.
How do you see District 61's role in preparing kids for jobs right here in the Decatur, Illinois area? We're the home of, the agribusiness capital of the USA. District 61 does not have an FFA program. A lot of people question, why are we not preparing our kids through the largest school district in this community for jobs in our community?
That's a great point. And when I talk to the board, I think we as educators have sent a bad message sometimes to our public and our students and our parents. We talk a lot about career and college, or college and career readiness. You won't hear me say that. You can hear it. It goes against me to say it. We need to talk about career and college readiness. We need to look at what people are needing in this community. In Kansas City, for example, right now we're getting pushed to work on technical skills and construction skills, plumbing, HVAC. Everybody that's doing that is over 50 years old, and there's no backfill. So we need to identify where those areas are in the community and give kids those opportunities in those areas. When they can see an opportunity that local, that'll invigorate the kids. That'll get them excited that, hey, I can stay here and be around my family or my friends and have a great job with a great income, great benefits that'll be good for me. So I think that's a really good point, and we need to do a better job of getting kids ready for the career. You know, their college is short-term, career is your life. So that's what you'll hear me talk a lot about.
District 61 has two fairly new high schools. Do you see yourself looking in depth at maybe some of the other facilities that will need to be either replaced or upgraded?
Yeah, there's a FACES committee that I just got a lot of that detailed information yesterday, looking at, there's a lot of facilities we need to look at. I wouldn't want to speak to that right now. I don't think it'd be fair to anybody, but I know there's been some planning looked at, but we have a new board. You know, those initiatives may change depending on what feedback they give me, next steps. Okay?
Why do you believe in public education?
I believe in public education because that's what makes our country great, because everybody has access to education to better themselves. Now, have we always done a great job? No, but we're always working it's a great equalizer. Everybody can come to the plate and get help, get assistance, develop a career plan, look at their college options. What makes the United States great is that everybody gets the same opportunity.
In the election, some folks made an issue with the parents being involved in Dennis School and made it sound almost like Dennis Elementary was getting, more than their fair share, rather than, celebrating the fact that so many parents are engaged and then the partnership with Milligan University. I've always questioned District 61, if you have magnet schools or you have schools like Dennis where there are a waiting list to get in, why are you not copying that in other schools and making it more available to the general public?
That's a valid question. That'd be, I think, a very pertinent discussion we should have moving forward. How do we replicate success? What works there and that we can replicate in another area, and what doesn't work there, and so we want to stay away from. So I think that'd be a great discussion to have. It's been interesting to me looking for a home, that the only time Decatur Public Schools are mentioned in the listing of the home if it's Dennis Schools. It's been interesting to me. If it's Mount Zion or Sangamon Valley or whatever, those are mentioned in the listing, but the only time, I think that's something we need to look at. I want Decatur Public Schools to be on every home listing people look at in a couple of years. Because I think that's what makes this a great community. It's only as good as its public schools. I may be biased in that, but that's how I feel.
You mentioned the strategic plan a few times. Is there more of a focused and detailed definition of that plan that maybe you kind of already have in the works to bring to that table?
Well, this is my experience with it. This is going to be the recommendation I bring forward. When you're talking about strategic planning, and there's been in talking to the people, there's been several iterations here that has either positive or negative connotations. But strategic planning to me is organizations start to level off at some point, and they need to look to improve. So, sorry for the hands, but just you have this track that the organization's on. Strategic planning allows you to think about your aspirational goals as a district, and how can you make things better and not continue the same old, same old. Don't want to reference too much my current position, but things that came out of our current strategic plan, we've expanded partnerships with outside entities to provide mental health services to our kids on site in their buildings. We developed a gifted center. We developed 2 year-round elementaries. Those are the type of things, that's not normal business, right? Those are aspirational goals that we've looked at, that the community asked for. And that's what when I talk about strategic planning, that's what I'm talking about. Okay?
Past schools you've worked at, things like that, what are they, how do they match with what DPS 61 has, obviously with all the different schools here and there? The schools you've worked at in the past compared to what the schools you'll be working with now, how do those relate? What kind of maybe similarities are there? Are there differences, with the schools you've been in the past and what you're going to be working with now?
My current school district is 19,500 students. We have over 95 languages spoken there. We have everything from a 20% free and reduced lunch school to a 95% free and reduced lunch school. So similar. We started in an area where we were in the 70s on our APR score. That's how we rate schools in Missouri. We've now moved it to a 96. Our graduation rates were in the low 80s. We're now at 96. So those are some similarities I see that why I believe I can make a difference here. So I'm used to working in that environment.
Literacy is something you've talked about being important. What do you see yourself doing to improve literacy in the schools?
Well, I just need to be the leader of that and espouse that importance wherever I'm at, whether it's with the teachers, the kids, the community. I've seen it work. An emphasis on literacy and writing made the difference. Because, like it or not, state assessments are part of what we get evaluated on by our public. And a lot of those are basically reading tests. And if our kids can't read on grade level, we're setting them up for a bad situation moving forward. And besides that, the research is on when you look at third grade reading level, what kids are at in third grade and what their outcome is in the career or college, it's not good. So we have to really give kids a fighting chance on being able to read and write. Then you build from there. So you'll just hear me talk about it all the time. And then people know it's important. It'll be important to the district. And we're going to emphasize that. Build on what we're already doing. We're doing some reading. We're building on some reading recovery and some other things already. Just build on that and make things better for those kids.
What about technology? For instance, at Johns Hill, every kid gets an iPad, but they're not even take the iPad home. So I'm not quite sure what that does. They end up doing their homework on their phone, or if they have a phone. What about access to technology and making sure that technology stays with those kids throughout their day, not just during the school hour?
That's part of the issue, sir. But the other side is, and I don't have this information yet, can they access technology at home? That's part of it. We have to look at those things as well. We might give a kid a great device, but if they go home and have no access, that's problematic. My current position, how we tried to adjust for that, no, we only have it for high school kids where I'm at now, but we provide the families with maps of where there's free Wi-Fi in the community. That just didn't happen overnight. We had to work with our community partners and say, if we provide this map, will you let our kids in there to choose the Wi-Fi? So we have to have a balance. Be great if they could take it home, but I don't know where we're at in that process right now. I'm not really truly answering your question, but
It's also a building issue. I mean, one of the reasons that the two new high schools, I mean, they literally had to, from class to class, adjust who was plugging what into the walls, literally, because of how old the schools were. And that goes back to the question about, buildings and consolidation and new, that's a big issue. There's a lot of old buildings in District 61.
that's a great point. And it's funny you say that. When we reconfigured our high schools, what the kids wanted was more plugins. And so the most popular spot where I'm currently at in the new cafeterias are the booths where there's plugins. And kids are in there all day. So that's a great point, and that would be a good thing to look at. Anything else?
Anything you want to say? Any points that you want to make sure that are out there? Anything that you want to touch on to make sure everybody knows that, hey, I'm here and I'm ready to go?
I'm here and I'm ready to go. You're going to see me everywhere. If there's something in the community that's there's going to be a lot of people at, let me know. We're all in this together. We all want to make Decatur Public Schools great. I think it's important. One of my biggest learning curves coming back to Illinois is what are those things that are important to Decatur that it's important that I'm at, and that I talk to people about what good things are going on. So I'm looking for those opportunities. Anytime you guys need information, I want to be approachable. I want to be transparent. I'll talk to you when things aren't going well, and I love to talk to you when things are going great. So, but it's real important that you guys get information because you share it with our public. So that's real important. I want to just thank you for your courtesy to adjust to my schedule and come here at this time to talk to you.
How long will you be in this position?
This position, this is a destination job for me, as long as they'll have me. Okay? So, like I said, I'm looking for a house. And I had a really good job where I'm at, so I didn't do this without planning on staying. So I want to be here. But I think that's important. Make sure you put that on there, that people know that I'm here to stay as long as you'll have me.
And your
Okay?
start date is June or July?
July 1st officially, but I'm going to be here, periodically. What is it, about 15 more times? Something like that, 10, 15 more times between now and July 1st. So I'm looking at houses tonight, looking at houses tomorrow. So, yeah, it's a busy time.